And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the African American Athlete. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with my co-host Michael Roberson, coming to you on a Wednesday evening. It's a little different night for us, Mike, but a lot of stuff going on. Thought it was important we try to get together and have a conversation about some of the things going on. It's been a busy week, and hey man, let's just get right to it and start with the news down in Atlanta that Nate McMillan has been fired by the Atlanta Hawks, and I don't. Let me ask you, does this come to a surprise when you heard that news today that he was fired?
No, because once they had that incident back in December where Trey didn't feel like he was up for the shoot around, and then Nate said, well, hey, if you're not going to do the shoot around, then you either going to come off the bench or not play. And he just didn't play, but then it was an ugly scenario. Then it looks like the writing was on the wall back then, but they coexisted for a couple months, and then, now it happens. I mean, shortly after the All-Star break, so that's the kind of part where I'm like, okay, shouldn't you now be saying, let's just do this in the offseason because we got like 20-something games left. This is the back stretch. You can't do that like at a horse race. You can't say, hey, take that jockey off on the back stretch and, we're going to put somebody else in there. No, I mean, let the season play out now. But, they're right around 500, so still in the playoff contention. And, of course, you don't really want to be 7th or 8th because even though that seems like you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoff play-in still. The only ones that are safe are like the 6th seed on up. So, you saw it coming, but you hate to see it. And then, of course, now Trey Young, who already had a little bit of reputation, is almost like Kyler, little smaller guys. And it's going to be like malcontent. He's going to be labeled as a malcontent, and it's going to be like, hey, whatever coach goes there, you're going to have to deal with Trey Young. He's becoming a pariah. So this is really going to mess up both their reputations.
Let me just play this little video clip, and we'll get a little more into it.
On in Atlanta between head coach Nate McMillan and star player Trey Young. So this has been developing over the past couple of days where Trey Young, he has been dealing with a shoulder injury, and prior to the game against the Denver Nuggets, they had a shoot around where Trey Young wanted to not participate. He wanted to just recover and rehab. And then later in the night, when it's actually game time, he determines whether or not he gets to play. But head coach Nate McMillan did not want to do that. He wanted him to participate in the shoot around. But because Trey Young did not do so, Coach Nate gave Trey Young the option up at all. And Trey Young, eventually, he did not play whatsoever in that game, even though they got the victory. Now, what's concerning is that it's the head coach and the franchise player that are going at it one another. And there are some speculating that Trey Young needs to be a better role model and a positive face for the franchise. Now, he has been pretty much that guy to the team ever since they drafted him back in 2018. And what's concerning about this whole situation is that it's been going on pretty much the entire year where there have been multiple team meetings and there has been miscommunication. That's what the head coach Nate McMillan called it when Trey Young did not play in the game. And what makes this a bad look on Trey Young is that he was apparently a part of the reason why they had fired their previous head coach, Lloyd Pierce, back in March of 2021. And this could be a similar situation the team is heading. Now, they do have a record of 13-10. They're currently one of the
Mike, that's exactly what you were just saying. Exactly. How those reputations start being built. And man, I think the worst happened to them really was making it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago. I think that was when the Bucks ended up winning it all. So what was that, 19, 20?
That was 21. Yeah, 20 was the bubble with the Lakers. 19 was Toronto. So that was that had to be 21 because last year, of course, was the Warriors.
Because they were a team that got hot and played great, but they really weren't, ascending to that level. So I thought that brought extra pressure on them. And man, I mean, you just said it. When it comes down to a coach and a player, a superstar and a player, a superstar and a coach, the coach is going.
Especially a black coach, because they have less leverage, even though it's a predominantly black league. But look at Snyder. Snyder was so disappointingly bad with Utah, where they would have this great regular season record and flame out every playoff game. He got no blame, but Doc Rivers, a previous champion, was like, "Oh, this guy can't coach." What happened? Everybody turned on him and said, "He's the reason why we choked in the bubble, because his coaching style." I'm like, this dude is a champion. None of you guys won a championship. I mean, yeah, Kawhi, you got one, but nobody else on that team had a championship. So, it's easy to sit there and blame the coach. And then, like I said, you don't want to be like, well, that's these young guys, the old man in the room, like these young guys that don't understand respect for their elders and things like that. But, that's the way it comes across, even though you get somebody like Magic that people thought he got West had fired. Yeah. And, then of course, Kobe didn't really want Mike Brown there, and Mike Brown had just was in the championship with the Cavaliers. So, some of these players, and they want to blame everything and the empowerment on LeBron, in the negative sense instead of them being empowered to control their own destiny per se. But they make it seem like LeBron also was the reason why these players always want to, buck the system, buck the coach, and get out of their place if they feel like it's becoming negative. So it's a bad look for the NBA. And in particular, it's a bad look when we're still talking about these black coaches not really getting a chance. So when your best player doesn't get along with you, and I don't understand how some of these black players will say, look, if out of any of these coaches, I don't need to be having a public spat with a black coach. It just looks horribly bad, especially when there's very much of a lack thereof.
You froze up a little.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, okay, I'm saying that it's really a bad look when a black coach and a black player are going at it, and you say, well, it's not even really about race, but it essentially is, because it's only a handful of black coaches in either league. And when you have that kind of bad karma there, and then you say, well, is this guy going to get another chance? Now, we know he has coached in several different places. However, this could be the be-all, end-all.
Yeah, I disagree with you a little bit there, because I think the NBA, man, I can't tell, Mike, I can't even tell you how many black coaches are in the NBA right now, because they get hired and fired, whether they do a good job, a bad job, whether it's unfair. I think McMillan, he'll likely get another job. This is not like the NFL to me, because
but Ricky,
I know down the road.
Look how he got this last one, though. He got this last job because of Lloyd Pierce got fired at the behest possibly of Young. So I don't know. I mean, you kind of get that situation like, okay, well, you're the assistant coach here. Let's get the job. Will he be hired, formally from a team and say, okay, we're going to give you a nice contract, or is he got to do the whole, let me go get another assistant job, and then hopefully an opening will pop up for me again.
Well, he might. He's had, as you said, he's had several coaching opportunities. But what I'm saying is, there will be other coaches of color in the NBA. I just don't worry about it. That's what I'm saying. I can't tell you what it is. Now, if this was the whole different ball game, if it was Major League Baseball,
right,
whole different ball
right.
game.
But
of course, the National Hockey League.
What I'm saying also is, in a league that's about 70-something%, almost 80%, like Detroit. So, until the coaching is commensurate with the amount of players, it's not even really, normal. Whereas be like, okay, well, we don't have anything to worry about because it's an equal playing field by the amount of coaches as amount of players. But even though the NBA has more than the other leagues, it's still lower than the actual ratio.
Yeah. Point taken on that. I take your point there. It is certainly not perfect, but we will see what happens with McMillan and more importantly Trae Young, because I'm looking at that team. That team, the 29-30, I believe.
Yep.
I mean they're an okay team, but Mike, they're not going to beat anybody when they get in the playoffs. They got hot a couple of years ago. They made that run, actually put more pressure on them. I just don't see that happening for them, and I don't see Young is going to have to get somebody to come with him, because to me, I see him obviously a great talent, but I see him as a volume shooter, takes a lot of shots. He's going to get his regardless, but it's always not going to be the efficient numbers that you like to see from guys. So, and I don't think that helps you win a lot of. They're right at 500, 29-30, but they're not a threat in the East to me. I don't care who comes in there and coaches them going forward.
Right, but the thing about it though is that a lot of people are thinking that he's just been mediocre this year, but he was like about 27 points, high in assists, so he's having a pretty good year despite all the distractions, with the coaching staff and all things like that and being injured. But he was up there high in the All-Star voting, and his stats were pretty good, worthy of making All-Star team. So, I mean, you can see his argument that, hey, look, we need to get things done. I'm not agreeing with these coaches, but then you have to ask yourself, are you coachable? Once you get to go through a bunch of drama with multiple coaches, you got to ask yourself, are you coachable?
That is well said. That is absolutely right. He's coachable. I definitely believe he's trying to win basketball games. I'm just wondering, if his style at that position is going to be the thing that kicks him over. Because, people try to compare him to Steph, but, Steph just plays on a much better team than he has throughout his career. And Steph has more success because he played on a much better team,
right?
Than Young. And I think Steph is a very unique guy. You see him, every day, every game.
Right.
He is a very special player, obviously.
But here's the thing, though, for the Johnny-come-latelys, though, it was rough in the beginning for Steph. I mean, first it was like, okay, he's a rookie. What's the deal? Monte Ellis is the star player. Can they coexist? Even Monte said we can't coexist. And then he had a bunch of ankle injuries. So it was like, hey, man, did we keep the right guy? And then, of course, they were saying that he could have been traded to the Bucks instead of Monte, but they were worried about his ankles. And I'm like, man, I know the Bucks got to be kicking themselves over that one. But, hindsight is 20/20. So, but it was like it wasn't the milk and honey of California, as everybody says, like, oh, this is Atlanta milk and honey. It wasn't great for Steph at first. And then all of a sudden, Mark got them going, Mark Jackson got them going, and then they blended it well with Clay. Then Draymond, his role became a little bit more advanced. And then, of course, they let Mark go. And then Kerr comes in right in time for them to get to that plateau. Even though,
hey, with that team, was it the ascension of Draymond's playmaking that really got them going?
I think Draymond's ability to play great defense and to pretty much control the offense from the low post, that did change them a lot. And like I said, at first they had this small forward, a power forward that was playing in front of Draymond. So there were some people saying
Harrison Barnes?
No, not Harrison Barnes. Harrison was a small forward. White player. I forgot his name now, but he was playing, and they were saying, "Well, man, you guys might need to get Draymond, some more playing time." So they started to make that shift, but then all of a sudden, all the off-court stuff, for some reason, was saying, "Hey, man, I don't know. Mark Jackson is like becoming like a problem here," so they fired him. And it was supposedly all kind of things that was it his religion? He's just too religious, or he made some comments about things that may go against homosexuality. It was all kind of stuff just floating around. And then Kerr comes in. Remember, Kerr was about to get the Knicks job. Remember, Phil Jackson was over there in New York to try to get him to come there. And he said, no, I think my first venture in coaching is going to be in Oakland. And that turned out for the best for him. But he was.
That was a good decision.
Exactly. But you didn't think that at first because you were saying, okay, New York City, all the glitz and glamour. And then, of course, Oakland, now, of course, the Warriors are glitz and glamour and all that, especially in San Francisco. But before that, it was like, yeah, okay, you're playing in Oakland, but when has Golden State really done anything? They haven't won a championship since 1975. So what was this like really a place to be? But he made it that, even though Mark laid down the foundation, but once he got here and won right away, it changed the whole facade of the Bay Area.
Yeah, that happens. I think of Dwayne Casey, who's now the coach in Detroit.
Right.
Laid the foundation for that Toronto team that ended up winning a title. You look at the NFL, you look at Tony Dungy, laying the foundation for that Tampa Bay team that went on to win a Super Bowl. Hey, while we're talking NBA, what were your thoughts of All-Star Weekend?
Well, it's a couple things that I'm upset about. And of course, I'm going to be biased on this. I don't understand how Salt Lake City gets multiple All-Star games. Milwaukee has one. And that was in the old Mecca. The Mecca was like one of these smallest arenas. That and Arco, the two smallest arenas in the NBA. That was 1977. That's after the 4 teams absolved from the ABA and got dissolved into the NBA. And, of course, Dr. J was the MVP of that one. That's the last time they did it. So they had the Bradley Center, never had an All-Star game, and now they have Fiserv, never an All-Star game. For some reason, Salt Lake City's had multiple, but all you get is people complaining about it's nothing to do. I'm like, why then do you keep going there multiple times if you feel like that's not a place for fandom to actually have a good time? So that part, I was like, I'm tired of this. But then secondly, it was okay, but the game wasn't really that good because they played no defense. They just got sloppy and ugly after a while. Okay, and then
when did that happen? I mean, it used to be good games,
right? Especially the fourth quarter
at the All-Star game.
Yeah, I don't know. Load management. People were worried about. I can't.
We're gonna get into load management,
right? And then of course the Pro Bowl is terrible. I mean, they tried to gimmick it up this year, but that's been terrible for decades. And then baseball, the only saving grace for them is the home run derby.
Yeah,
but the dunk contest. I mean, the dunk contest turned out to be pretty good because that guy did some amazing dunks. So I got to give him that credit for that one. Okay, but
Matt McClung.
Yeah, there we go, McClung. Yeah, overall though, the All-Star game, the whole weekend was okay. I mean, Damian Damian won the 3-point contest, and that was okay, but I don't know. It just doesn't have the same oomph to it like it used to.
It really doesn't, man. And those are great dunks. I mean, the guy can jump out the gym. But the thing to me, and this is a dunk contest, and he accomplished his goal. He's a great dunker, but you can do all that, but you can't make a roster. I mean,
I know, and that's the thing. That's the thing about it, because they're saying, "Hey, man, get some of these G leaguers to come in, or get some people off the street, or get some international people." And I said, that's what makes it not like it should be. Like it used to be, the elite players were in this contest, and then now everybody once again gonna say, "Well, this is all LeBron's fault." I'm like, okay. I mean, because he never entered a dunk contest, it's his fault, and that's the reason why. So, and of course, this is after he's passed everyone for the all-time scoring list. Now all of a sudden it's supposed to be some type of Michael Jordan movie coming out again. All this vintage stuff of Michael about, Mike did this, Mike did this, and then you get people now all of a sudden want to pay homage to Kareem now. You didn't care about him before that, but now that LeBron is in immortality now, it's like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe we didn't give Kareem enough respect now. I think what he did was better than LeBron did, because he never shot more than he never made more than 1 3-pointer. So that's not fair for LeBron to pass him. So it's just all kind of angles to find a way to say whatever is going on now in the NBA that's negative is because of LeBron.
I don't think it's that bad, Mike.
Yeah, I know it's not, but that's the stuff you hear though. It's because he never entered the dunk contest. That's why we're getting all these no names, and then you have a situation like what happened there, which those are great dunks, but
I think all the dunk. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, back in the day, I wanted to see Dr. J dunk. I wanted to see Michael Jordan dunk. I wanted to see the stars of that day dunk, because I've seen them do it in the games, and now I get to see them add a little creativity to it. It's just, but nothing against Matt McClung at all, man. He did a great job for what it was, but that whole thing is just, it's just past, and the game. I mean, just come on, man. That's if y'all gonna play, you gotta play a little defense.
That's what I'm saying.
What was it, 184 to?
Well,
Mike, I could have got 16 and 10.
That's what I'm saying, and it's not even the score. It's just that the effort. It was like, okay, let's say,
and then you give an MVP. I mean, ain't nobody the MVP of that game.
Well, they gave it to Jason though, but LeBron go down and get a dunk, and then all of a sudden, wide open shot on the other end. I'm like, is anybody getting back on defense? I mean, you shouldn't have this. Just clear the lane. Don't even try to contest anything. And guess what happened? LeBron tried to contest a shot, messed up his finger. That's why he didn't play the second half.
And that might be why guys aren't playing. Because nowadays, man, these guys are they are walking corporations. And actually, that leads me to another topic I want to hit with you. And I'm going to bring this young man on and let him start it off for.
Okay.
If you 80%, you got to play. I don't like all the sitting, missing games and stuff like these people. If there's anything I could change about the league to make it better, probably just all the guys sitting, resting. That's the only thing I probably don't like. Just play, man. If you 80%, you got to play. I don't like all the sitting, missing games and stuff like these people. These people might have enough money to come to one game, you know what I'm saying? And that might be the game they come to, and then you sitting out, you know what I'm saying? So I take pride in trying to play every game, because I don't know, it might be one fan that has never seen me play, and I'm trying to play. So that's the only thing I don't like, guys just sitting out.
That was Anthony Edwards, a young star for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Mike, I get him, I feel him. But I also know he's 21 years old too.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I said, I mean, you don't have enough years in the league to really be taking that kind of stance like that. I mean, but
stick around.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, let's see it about 5 years from now. When you're still in Minnesota, and it's all of a sudden you say, "Hey, man, I'm just not into it today. I need to take a break, or I'm not feeling that well." Then also now you're gonna contradict yourself, like a lot of players have done.
But I certainly get his point.
Right.
If the Lakers coming to town, I want to make sure LeBron's paying before I buy that ticket.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, a suggestion that they made though was that, and I said the same thing too. I said, if you are going to do load management because you figure that's better for the health of the teams, take those games off at home.
Do it at home
because you got 41 games at home, so you got plenty of opportunity to see them. But you play an Eastern team, they only gonna see you once.
You come in once,
and that is a horrible feeling. Let me flash back to probably back in the late 70s. I go up to the Mecca, and I think Ice was had played a game, and they flew. Of course, you remember they didn't fly the nice jets like they do now.
They flew commercial.
They said he slept like on his elbow. He might not be playing. So I'm like, this is my first kind going to the Bucks. I want to see my favorite player play. He's not going to play. And I was just sitting there. I remember my buddy, and I was like, man, this is going to stink, man. I'm going to watch this game, no ice. And then one of the security guys said, hey, do you know if Ice is playing or not? He said, there he is out there. I think he was shooting around with John Lucas. I said, thank you. But I know that feeling. I would have been demoralized if that, because San Antonio only comes to Milwaukee once.
Yeah. So, absolutely. I think that's something they need to address. But man, if I'm coaching that team and my guy who I'm gonna need down the stretch, who I'm gonna need in the playoff, is ailing, hey, I'm gonna rest him if I can get away with it. If I can, that's when you look, I think this is a bigger problem too than cause it's been going on a while, but I think this is a growing problem.
Right.
When you look at the cost of nowadays, and it is something that they're going to have to address. I think they have the CBA coming up. I'm sure that's going to be a topic of conversation there. One other issue with the NBA, I don't know if we got a chance to really go in on the trades. Was it any of the trades that stood out to you that you liked?
Well, the one thing that kind of
or didn't like.
Well, I didn't like the way the Brooklyn owner got away with the nonsense he did. I mean, he basically humiliated Kyrie the whole year. That he was being punished for a video online that it wasn't like he said, I am going to endorse this. I believe everything they say here. And then it was just bullying. So they did that. He had to sit out indefinite time, comes back, and then he says, you know what? I'm going to play ball. And I remember I had a chance to interview him out here, and I asked him, I said, how are you feeling mentally and physically after all you've been through? And he said, that's in the rearview mirror. I'm moving forward, blah, blah, blah. He was playing great. Matter of fact, that game, he worked the Warriors. So I said, okay. The next thing you know, is getting close to the trade deadline. He said, hey, man, I want to be traded. So I don't know if all that stuff just came to a head. He said, look, I'm tired of this whole mess. So then, of course, he acquiesced and finally trades him, but it was with conditions. You're not going to the Lakers. You're not going to any team that you want to go to. So he sent him to Dallas. Now, KD is saying, well, hey, man, I'm not going to be here by myself. I'm not going to be a one-man show on a team that's going to be bad now. So then he says, yeah, okay, we'll send you to Phoenix then, because that's where you want to go. So I was like, why are you sitting here, catering to KD, but you're going to send him down to Dallas where that could be a good thing, or it might be another tumultuous situation? Or is Kyrie just saying, look, I'll just play this year out and then I'm going to LA after that? Who knows what his mindset is going to be? But I just didn't like the way that owner put himself out there on Front Street so much with the whole suspension of Kyrie. And then now all of a sudden, now you're going to trade these guys and it's going to be under your terms. And I just think that, I know owners do have a big stake in it, but you don't need to be flexing like that, though. That's what I didn't like.
Yeah, this is my man and former colleague, Jared Wallace, said, yes, it's a good idea to have stars sit for home games, but what if the only home game a family can attend happens to be when the player sits out? Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. There's no perfect answer to that, except for guys to try to play, as much as they can when they go out there. Speaking of Jared, he was an excellent basketball player. Used to play at the Flint Y with us. The thing about Jared, Mike, first time he came up there, Jared's diving for loose balls, running people over. One of my buddies called timeout and said, hey, man, we don't hustle like that around here. Jared's like, what? What do you mean? You don't hustle. No, but Jared, thank you for your comments, brother. I sure do miss you, man. And thank you for checking in. I mean, Jared's point.
That's a great point, but
it's nothing you could do. That's probably the best you're going to get is what you came up with.
Right, because think about it. You got 41 chances. So if your one game is the one that he doesn't play, then that's just bad luck. But if you got one chance because you're an Eastern team to see LeBron or Steph, then that's a situation where it's like, hey, this is terrible because they only come here once. Now, you might have a situation where they come to Brooklyn and then they come to NYC, come to Manhattan. So maybe you could say, okay, well, I didn't get to see LeBron when they came to Brooklyn, but I'm going to go over to Madison Square Garden and maybe see him. So you got that. That's if you got proximity like that, just like some people would go to Chicago or Milwaukee if they couldn't see a player because it's like 90 miles apart. So that right there is the only way you can really do it. But I'm telling you, living on the East, when the Lakers were the bomb team with Magic and all those guys, I had one chance to see the Lakers. And I never saw them. I never saw the Lakers when I grew up. I didn't see the Lakers live until I was a media person.
Yeah. Jared, regarding Kyrie, KD didn't cause as many problems as Kyrie, so I can understand why the owner didn't want to do Kyrie any favors. Yeah, I could feel that animosity there. That could be going back to when Kyrie said, "I ain't playing."
We're running a business, though. I mean, Kevin Durant in the offseason said, "Trade me."
But you running the business. They got a good haul for Kyrie too. They got some. They got some value for trading him.
But you did some. Not really. You got guys you traded away before, Dinwiddie and who else?
But they got some picks.
Yeah, but picks are like playing a lottery game. Getting a lottery ticket. You don't know if those are gonna pan out or not.
Yeah, but what could LA give them? That's the problem with the Lakers. They have no resources.
Well, they had first round picks for them, and they had Westbrook. You could just say, let's play the season out with Westbrook, and we got free and clear a lot of room.
Like I said, they had no resources.
But what I'm saying is that what you got from Dallas was just okay. You know what I'm saying?
Getting Westbrook was just going to be okay. I mean, look what just happened. He got traded, and they bought him out. I forgot where he got traded. I mean, Russell was not the big piece that he once was. So that was just going to be okay getting a Russell Westbrook. The Lakers, their draft picks are damn near gone. they gave up so much for Anthony Davis that it really hinders them.
Well,
I'm trying to see what they got for Kyrie. Go ahead, Mike. I'll
I'm
look
saying,
it up.
but even with the Anthony Davis situation, I mean, they gave up guys that were there when when LeBron was out. They did nothing. So then they go to New Orleans and other places, and all of a sudden, like, well, look how these guys are playing now. I said, yeah, but when you guys were there, you had a perfect opportunity to say, we want to stay here and make this work. But you didn't. As soon as LeBron got hurt out here on Christmas night, December 25th, 2018, that team did absolutely nothing during that time he was out. And that was like, why do we want to keep these players? Ball didn't live up to his reputation. Even who else did they get rid of? The one down in New Orleans right now. They gave him up, and then now he's playing great down there, but it's still not winning basketball. They're teetering on a play-in and things like that. So they make it seem like, well, the Anthony Davis thing, that was just a terrible situation because it just crippled them. But you won right away. Isn't that what you want to do? You want to win a championship. They won a championship as soon as he got there. After Demps played little chicken game with them saying, no, we're not going to trade Anthony Davis in year one. You guys got to wait. And then they finally got him the next year, but then that's when they lost some of those players. But think about it, that first year when LeBron got hurt, maybe if they'd have traded for him then, they would have made the playoffs that year.
Yeah, his Dallas got the Mavericks picked up Kyrie Irving for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first-round pick, and multiple second-round picks. So that is what they got, and they may just have him for this for the remainder of the season. I don't know what LA would have done to have tried to match that, but he'll probably go there next year anyway. But yeah, let me see here.
But what I'm saying is that if Kyrie has an expiring contract and so does Westbrook, all you're doing there is just saying, look, we're working the money game right here. But when you pick up these players that really might not make an impact on your team, but now you got them for multiple years. And remember, I don't know if Dinwiddie maybe still have sour grapes for how they traded him in the first place.
Yeah.
Because remember when they try to get that big three together, that Dinwiddie is one of the casualties, and LeVert and all those guys, they said, man, this is good talent you guys are letting go. But they said, no, because we're going to make a super team here. And that was an absolute disaster, just like the Clippers when they thought they made a fool out of the Lakers. Remember that? Remember when Kawhi played like he was going to go to the Lakers, and then he said, nah, that's all right, I'm going to the Clippers last minute. So that kind of strapped the Lakers from making any kind of moves because they were sitting there waiting on Kawhi. And then Paul George pulled the old, no, I'm going to stay in Oklahoma City with Westbrook because he didn't want to play with LeBron or didn't want that pressure of being on a team with LeBron that is pretty much going to go to the finals. So they thought they made a mockery out of the Lakers, and the Lakers end up winning the next year. That Clippers team that's been touted number one for years, nothing. That Brooklyn team that was touted for years, nothing. So when it's all said and done, all that stuff they try to do to try to beat LeBron or embarrass LeBron, he still
I don't think all that was to embarrass LeBron.
You'll be amazed how. Think about it. If the guy goes to eight straight finals, that's the guy you want to beat.
Yeah, but I don't think they do it to embarrass him. They might do it to try to beat him.
You don't think that's what Kawhi did? Wait until the last second, then say, "No, I'm going to Clippers."
No, I have no clue why he.
Even Magic thought Magic thought he was coming to the Lakers, and then all of a sudden he said, "Nah, that's all right. We're gonna go over to the Clippers. I'm gonna be the king of LA," and that has not happened.
No, well, that has not happened. But they got Russell Westbrook now, so maybe it'll happen now if they got Russell. Hey, let's keep it moving though, man. And there was some news coming out of the National Football League this week. Eric Bieniemy is going to be the new offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders. Bieniemy has been the OC at Kansas City for several seasons now and helped that team win a couple of Super Bowls. Well respected by almost everybody who's played for him, unless your name's Sean McCoy, who threw some shade his way.
He's a hater and shady.
And he lived up to the shady name right there.
Yep.
But those who played for, a lot of the guys who played for Eric Bieniemy clapped back to say, hey, bro, you are just wrong here because this guy is great. And you mad because he was getting on you for fumbling the football.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
But Mike, it is a joke. This guy couldn't get a head coaching job, and it is a joke. People sit around and let this stuff go on about he can't interview well and he doesn't. Here in Detroit, we had a guy talk about biting people's kneecaps.
Yeah.
And look, I don't know what kind of head coach Bieniemy will be, but he has earned the right to get that job.
Well, here's what's funny. The guy that was talking about biting kneecaps has almost the same record. Matter of fact, it might have been a half game worse because they played more games than Caldwell. And Caldwell gets fired, and Caldwell had coached in the Super Bowl before.
Yeah.
And they said, well, this is not good enough. But this guy, Caldwell, gets 9-7? Or 9-8? Was 9-8?
Yeah, they're 9-7.
Okay. And
had a winning record for 4 years. Hey, Mike, Jim Caldwell should just be able to say, when he goes in an interview, hey, man, I had a winning record in Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even have to say nothing else. I had a winning record in Detroit.
Yeah, Wayne Fines. But they make it seem like he should have been coach of the year for that. His intensity and Hard Knocks episodes, and he just showed that he really cared. I'm like, really? He's barely over 500. Matter of fact, wasn't he 9-8?
They were 9-8. I thought you were talking about
it was like 9-8. That's why I said that. That's why I think it was like a half game worse. Yeah. But so that right there, I got another one for you. McCarthy was offensive coordinator out here, right? They had the worst offense in the NFL, the Niners. So, want to know how they rewarded him? He gets the Packer job. One of the most prestigious jobs in the NFL. You get a guy that had led a horrible offense and didn't draft he didn't draft Aaron Rodgers, of course. But GM has a lot to do with it too. But of course, they gave him a pass on that. So then it's like, okay, well, you're gonna make up for it now because you're gonna go to Green Bay and be the coach, and then you get a chance to now, make good with Aaron Rodgers because you guys did not draft him. But it's like, why was he the hottest commodity to go to a franchise, one of the greatest franchises in the whole NFL, a prestigious job that we will not see a black coach get again? We see what happened when they had a black coach 1 year. Get out of here. Ray Rose. So, but you have McCarthy coming there with really nothing real notable. He didn't win a Super Bowl. His offense was terrible. But they deemed him well enough to go to Green Bay.
That's the thing. Jared, thank you for all these great comments tonight, man. He talking about the enemy definitely needs to leave KC, but I don't know why Eric picked Washington. Any other place but there, because the team will be sold and the entire staff could be fired after next season. Shaking my head. And that's the thing, man. You just talking about your boy Mike McCarthy gets this pick of the litter job.
Exactly.
This dude got to go to DC.
Once again,
with a struggling. Who's the quarterback for Washington?
Nobody knows. That's what I'm saying. This is the epitome of white privilege, because you can just they could have all kind of faux pas, all kind of holes in their resume, and still get a nice job. We're not going to embarrass you. We're not going to send you to a team that would be, destitute. We're going to send you to a team that we're going to have great growth for you. We're probably going to have a front office job for you once you finish coaching, whatever. We're going to make sure you're a part of this community. Whereas, look at these black coaches in Houston. Go there. You're interim coach. See you later. Another coach comes in, Lovey, who's been in the Super Bowl. Get out of here after 1 year. And now, D'Amico, we'll see what happens there. They gave him a contract, but we know how NFL contracts are. They could be absolved at any moment.
Hey, my friend, our friend of the show, Ralph Road, had a great comment about Lovey winning that last game, knowing he's going to get fired. He's like, I ain't going to lose this game.
Exactly. I'm glad he did it because, and then you go back to Flores, what Flores was saying. They were trying to get me to lose games and all that stuff. That right there was a classic example. Then let's go to Irsay in Indianapolis, where Caldwell went to the Super Bowl after Dungy left. He gets a guy from the losing team, the Eagles, and says, hey, come on up here. Forget that guy that's won multiple Super Bowls. You're on the losing team, but we still think you're a better candidate than he is because, hey, it's all about Andy Reid.
It really, and Mike, that's why some of that stuff is so ridiculous.
I know.
That's why, and you're right about there are issues in the NBA, but they are so far ahead.
Oh yeah.
Of the NFL that it is utterly ridiculous. I mean, that's such a great point about the guy in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Irsay. And remember, he was in trouble. And that somehow that went away. Same with Kraft in New England. That went away. Let that have been a black owner finally get in the mix and you get caught up in a massage parlor situation or having pills on you. There's no way they'll let you keep that team. They said, well, you shouldn't have had the team in the first place. But now, absolutely no way. You're out of the NFL. They'd have voted him out. But these two, they just said, it was a little indiscretion. Kraft was lonely at the time. He didn't have his wife. So, really, we're going to just make all these excuses, but everybody else. But back to Shady, though. I had issues with him because he made some comments about Kaepernick back in the day. He said, he's not really that good. He doesn't deserve to be in the NFL. I'm like, really, dude? Are you serious? I said, this is why you guys don't have any leverage in the NFL. You're the majority, but you don't have any leverage because of this stuff like this. You don't work together. You guys sit there and basically cut each other's legs off, just so you can get ahead instead of saying, we need to be a group together so we can really wield some power in this league.
You know what, man? I think he says stuff just to get his name out there. I think, because dude, you can't be that dumb.
Right.
I think he's just saying stuff to get some clicks to, LaShawn McCoy. Yeah.
Well,
because you were a good player, man, but, there's 25, 30 guys that were better than you throughout there.
Especially when by the time you got to Kansas City. You were an afterthought then.
Yeah, but you fumbling the football. That's why the man got me okay.
And then the funny thing about it is that he really was ripping on Dak Prescott. Called him. No, I guess we can say it on here. Called him ass. I'm like, why would you sit on TV, national TV, and downgrade another black man like that? I was like, dude, really? In front of you got Acho there, you got Joy there, and you got a couple of writers there, and I'm like, really? Why are you doing this? This castigation of another black man on national TV is just totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just say, he's not playing well, but to call him ass.
Well, hey man, I gotta get out of here. This has been a great hour, brother. We got to hit on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
In this last hour. Any final thoughts?
No, just that I'll probably write a little compilation about just what's happened over the year, Black History 365. So I'll be writing something that kind of acknowledge some of the things that happen, you know, like Dusty Baker, Mike, our hockey guy down here in San Jose, Mike Greer, and then a lot of other things, you know, the Super Bowl, the 2 black quarterbacks, and all that. But it's funny that somebody mentioned that, and they tried to throw in James Harris today, and I said, like I wrote in the my story, that this actually should have happened in 1975 if they didn't bench Gilliam, and they didn't, and then LA didn't lose to Minnesota, because that's who the Steelers played in the Super Bowl. So that was that close to having 2 black quarterbacks way back in 75.
That would have been groundbreaking. And one last thing from Jared, he talks about LaShawn and Fox's Doug Gottlieb are just saying stuff to get clicks. I totally agree with you, Jared.
Absolutely.
Gottlieb and Rob Parker debated yesterday about Doug's belief that racism does not exist in coaching hires.
Yeah.
You're right.
Gottlieb is another one of those guys that coach's son, mediocre player in college, and then he takes these huge takes. And then, of course, he has some kind of incident with theft or something like that. And we know when some of these black players have lost their scholarships and all kind of stuff, they got caught up in a scandal like that. This guy is portrayed on national radio. So once again, it's just, you know, if you keep saying that there's no such thing as white privilege, and I'm not blamed for anything that happened back 400 years ago. All you have to do is exist, and you will see how you are getting the advantage over, you know, brothers of destitute.
Well, we're going to get out of here, man. And we're setting up this interview with the great artist Gilmore. Can't wait to get the A Train on. That's coming real soon. But until then, for my friend and frat brother, Michael Roberson and Rick Hampton, peace, brothers. Have a great night, everybody.
All right. Later.